Couts. Let me move this up a little bit. 10:58, that'll be the arrival time again of the circulation. You're going to get rain before that circulation arrives, but that's the spot of the zone where we're watching the rotation lifting off to the north and to the east. So giving you another perspective, we've got 2 tornado warnings now for parts of northwest Indiana, County, Jasper County, and the Newton County tornado queues. This one here, 10:45. So we've got 3 more minutes with this particular tornado warning. At this point, Tracy, I haven't seen if we're going to see an extension of the one down in Newton County into Jasper County. But right now we've got 2 going active at this point. Have you seen anything on the latest one?
Yeah, you know what? I'm just seeing, new tornado warning with tightening rotation near DeMott in northwest Jasper County, moving toward Couts. So Couts, they did expire the tornado warning in Newton County, Larry, but we are watching in Jasper County. And I want to make mention that we are starting to get some damage reports through the National Weather Service. Larry was tracking this storm here, but I wanted to make mention that for those of you in Warrenville, a trained spotter did report that a tornado was sighted near Washington Street and Warrenville Road at the Herrick Lake Forest, the Forest Preserve there, the Herrick Lake Forest Preserve. And in Shorewood, there was a report of possible tornado near Kendall Ridge Boulevard and Townsend Boulevard in the Joliet area. There are reports of tree damage as well as some large objects flipped over. And the thing was, we also have a wind advisory in effect for that Joliet area this morning. So it's possible we could have just had some of that damage as a result of some of those very, very strong wind gusts. So once again, we do have a tornado warning that just was canceled in Newton County. We are monitoring tornado warning, a new tornado warning there in Jasper County. Let's go back to the radar so that you can, and a reminder, you're under a tornado watch until 3 o'clock this afternoon. That does include those of you in Jasper and Benton County. Here is this storm, and once again, I'm putting the storm track on these, and when I say that, what that is, you get a little bit of a rotation around it. Now, I'm not seeing things this very moment, but we did around Rose Lawn, so that was telling us, yes, there was something indicating that we were seeing a little rotation, a little spin-up tornado. These things have been moving so very quickly and putting down quite a bit of rain in their paths, and Larry was talking about that, and in fact, some of you picked up as much as to almost 1/3 of an inch of rain within a very, very short period of time. Let's go to lightning detection, see how much lightning we are seeing, and we do have, once again, a tornado warning, and this has crossed into southern Porter County right now, and we're until 11:15 this morning. So we have another half hour, a good solid half hour with this tornado warning. I'm seeing if there are any additional warnings coming in. The Warrenville area, another storm report.
Yeah, this is the only one right now, Tracy. This is the only tornado warning we have right now. The one in Newton County has been canceled, so that's a good sign.
Yes.
What I've been noticing while you were talking, I was really looking closely at this velocity data on this particular storm, and it's showing a pretty tight rotation center right here between DeMott and Wheatfield. So right here where you get the reds and greens right next to each other, that's where the storm is still spinning, and you can see the motion here outlined by this red box. This is the movement of the storm itself lifting up, which will eventually cross 49 roughly between Wheatfield and Couts. And looky there, we got a new tornado warning just popping onto the map while we're talking here. So this is the storm that was in Newton County that produced the tornado warning. They canceled it for a few minutes, and now they've extended it into Jasper County. You can see right there, the reds and greens. That's the rotation center just to cross over I-65 between Fair Oaks and Newton right now. This is the spot where we could be seeing a tornado forming, and this is going to move up towards Surrey, crossing over 14, and then heading up again toward the field area as we go through the 45 minutes or so. This particular warning, let's highlight it on the radar specifically, and I'll show you right here. This is the northern warning, and then we've got the southern storm that's also producing a tornado warning with it as well. Now we've got 2 tornado warnings in effect for Porter and Jasper counties, and then the one that was in Newton County, that second warning you see farther south. So I'll zoom out a little bit better perspective. These two cells are capable of producing tornadoes, and that's why we've got the tornado warnings issued for these spots here. Again, the red outline box zones are the spots where we've got the potential for a tornado to form. Got to go back to that velocity data again, because this is our best way to exact locations as to where this tornado is located, if there is one. Again, it's not confirmed by anybody on the ground, but it's a potential tornado spotted by radar. And right here, just north of 10 right now, is where that rotation is located. Just to the west of Wheatfield, just west of 49. That's the spot where this rotation is with this particular storm. The other one to the south, the velocity on this one, it's a little more clear. She just got an update here. And so there's the data right over par is where that rotation spot is right now. And it's not as tight as it was just a scan ago when it was back a little farther to the west. The red aren't as brilliant or as bright as they were a few moments ago. Yeah, go ahead, Tracy.
Just want to interrupt you, and I know you're very familiar with Valparaiso, but they are now telling their students to shelter in place. Technically not in warning, but as you see, and we'll put a track here on that storm, and it has been racing the northeast to 55 miles per hour. So yeah, again, the Couts area, Wanata, but around Valparaiso, University, they are telling their students to shelter in place at this very moment. What we've noticed, and we're seeing, Barry was talking about the rotation of Oaks near I-65 tracking in line toward the Wheatfield area. So that's again a severe tornado warning across Jasper and into County. Now, County, I know in that tornado watch perhaps, but any counties kind of bordering that tornado watch, this stuff really does bear watching. Again, we didn't even have a tornado watch in effect in DuPage County, and yet we ended up with that tornado warning that was very brief. But we've had some reports out around the Warrenville area, out around Naperville. Right now, we still have a wind effect across many of our southern counties too. And want to look at detection, want to pick up on any thunderstorms, none here on the Illinois side right now as far as the Chicago area, but I take you closer in. We have two tornado warnings right now. One solely in effect for Jasper County, central Jasper County. As you can see, this is in effect until 11:15 this morning. And then that's one which is a little farther north. Doesn't area is not Valparaiso at this moment. Something is issued that it would include the Valpo area, but it's good that folks are just really keeping a close eye. The one that straddles kind of Jasper County, the northern part of that county into Porter, this expires also at 11:15 this morning. So we have another 25 minutes to go with that tornado warning. Now let's take a peek. Tornado watch just been issued, it appears, in LaPorte County. That's why we have flashing red. That, however, we start to watch alert added. So check that one out. See how the tornado effect. That was just added and will be in effect until 3 o'clock this afternoon for LaPorte in northern Indiana. And that kind of stands to reason. It said,
yeah, they did that to
that.
Just cover this storm that's moving in their direction. Sometimes the Weather Service will do that in advance of a potential storm headed direction. So they put LaPorte in the tornado watch because of this storm, which is back into parts of Jasper and counties, and it's lifting eventually towards LaPorte County. Tracy, while you were talking, I was looking at this velocity. It's actually kind of strengthened a little bit here, just to the north, slightly northwest of Wheatfield right now. If you're in the Couts area, I'm getting more concerned about the potential that this could be producing a tornado as it crosses over the Kankakee River here and lifts up towards Couts. So if you're in this zone here around Couts, please go to that safe room and just let this storm pass on by. I've gotten no confirmed reports of any touchdowns so far with this particular storm. I've been monitoring what the National Weather Service has been saying, and also trying to communicate with some of the spotters who are out there. And I know this time of day, obviously, if you're at home and your kids are at school right now, the schools obviously do tornado drills. You probably remember them when you were a kid. So a lot of these here that are under the tornado warnings are now in their safe space within their schools. The kids are taking the precautions that they need to take and getting into those safe rooms around their schools. I know, Tracy, you and I, when we visit schools, I often always ask, you know, do you guys have a good safety plan when it comes to tornadoes? And they tell me the spots where they go, and I always like to assess and say that's a great spot, that's the right place to go, because you never go to a gymnasium. You never want to go to a large open room. It's small hallways or rooms that have no windows are the best places to go in those schools, and the schools are really good about getting the kids to the best spot when we have it's somewhat don't have a lot of tornadoes during the school day per se, but in situations like this where we've got little tornadoes that are possible, at least the schools know the we've talked about it a lot.
Absolutely. And in fact, I was just talking with some students about that very couple of weeks ago where they were practicing their tornado drill. And this was a couple of weeks ago in mid-February. So the school taking action, and that is certainly some good news. Also, around Valparaiso, we did hear that they are telling their students to shelter in place around Valparaiso, not specifically under a tornado warning at this point, but a tornado warning has issued in Porter County. And as Larry was talking about that Couts area, kind of concern. And in Couts, you are under a tornado warning at this time. And this is going to stay in effect until 11:15. And Larry was pointing out how instrumental taking where those reds and those greens are kind of situated near one another. And it's an indication that, yeah, there could be some rotation there. Once again, let's go to the radar and you can get an idea. And I mentioned to you that in LaPorte County, you were just added for a tornado watch. Here, let's do a little track on this particular storm and where this is headed. So there you see in Couts, and you know, you're probably getting the heavy rain around the Dewey area just after 11 o'clock this morning. And in LaPorte, I think this is going to get to you sooner than 11:48. I think in LaPorte, it's going to be there, that rain and this storm, not necessarily a tornado, but the intense rain coming your way most likely within the half hour, I would say. I'm going to clear this, get you an idea of how this is all moving. And so these storms have been moving so very quickly. Tornadoes that we have been seeing evidence of have been and if there's a warning now in effect in Benton County, southwest of the Boswell area. So let's take a peek at this over in northwest Indiana. If you on that, we're back to tornado share with you the tornado warnings that are in effect for the area at the very moment. So let's count up how many of those we have.
I've got them pulled up right now, Tracy, if you want to look here on this backup computer here.
There we go.
You got them there. Oh, here they are too. Yeah. So there are 3 tornado warnings for North Carolina. This one here for Porter and Jasper County. The second one for a good part of North County. And there's the Benton County tornado warning that Tracy was talking about. And up and down this broken line, showers and a little bit of thunder and lightning as well. We're seeing some really intense little rotation centers pop up. Tight enough where we've got these tornado warnings to be prompted by the National Weather Service. As Tracy was mentioning, the ones up here in the parts of Porter County and Jasper County in effect until 11:15, so about another 20 minutes or so. But what I've been noticing, and Tracy, you were pointing this out too, is it was the velocity data has been quite interesting with this storm, interesting in a sense where we can pinpoint where we're getting the rotation. And now I'm seeing actually 2 different spots of rotation. This is the first one, and there's the new updated outline tornado warning box. It includes the southern part here, crossing over 49. Basically, right here is where this potential tornado is located. And the our indicated tornado moving right between Wheatfield and getting closer towards southern side of Cal. So the center of rotation, downtown Cal's by a little bit, it's going to be really close. So anywhere out, you still need to be taking your tornado precautions at this time. But there's that center of circulation where the rotation is now living north and east. So this will be eventually crossing. This is 8 right here, so this will eventually cross over 8 and lift off to the north towards the cross and eventually up in as well. You folks in Wichita, you're not under a warning just yet, but this storm nearing you, I wouldn't be surprised. Tornado sirens are going off here in Wichita, over to Malden, certainly in Couts, the tornado sirens are going off in Dewey. So this zone here is where we've got the potential for a tornado touching down with this rotation. And I was mentioning that. So look at this. There's another real tight center of rotation developing back to the west of Wheatfield, just north here, 31. So this is another spot we'll have to watch. It's possible we get another tornado warning issued for that part of the storm as well. In addition, the other part of the storm down here to the south, which is near Alex along 231, this is another spot where we're getting rotation. Greens and reds are right next to each other. Those are zones where we're seeing the tightening up of the rotation, and this is lifting to the north and east between Wheatfield and Gifford here, where that rotation center will pass. So this is a really complex kind of broken line storm. When you look at it from the radar presentation, this is the typical view we'd show you here when we're tracking. It doesn't look like it's terrible here, but much low level spinning going on these little rotation centers. Individual cells within this tornado starting, and then where this tornado warning has been issued as well. So back edge, usually the southern, these individual is where you get the spin ups to occur. The temperature warmed into the mid to upper 50s. It's 54 in Valparaiso, 57 right now in Rensselaer, 40s here along the lakefront in the northern suburbs. But where we get this warmer zone of temperatures where we boosted the temperatures up into the 50s and also the humidity up, we've got dew points in the 52 where those storms to form. Tracy, back to you.
Yeah, Larry, and I just wanted to mention that the tornado warning, we're starting to see it getting shaved off a little bit, but also the Weather Service just issued a special weather statement for us here in Chicago, indicating some of the heavier storms here in the city. And in fact, I'm seeing some sunshine outside our State Street studio window, but I kind of wanted to reassure folks in Illinois who may be wondering, what's going on over on this side. Since we had the tornado warning in DuPage County, no longer do we have any prospects of any severe weather here, I think, on the Illinois side. However, I want to mention, you may still endure some strong gusty winds. Reports of 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts very likely in some of this rain that we just had here in the city. Let's go back to the storms over in northwest Indiana because that's the focus of our attention. And the tornado warning, as I said, is starting to get kind of shaved off just a wee bit as to the location at this moment. Let's take a peek at the areas that are under the tornado warning. And we have had these just little spin-up tornadoes. There's been just enough shear to get these things going. The Weather Service kind of this particular one, they're going here, radar indicating let's see, 2 severe storms capable of producing tornadoes, 1 downfield, 1 still around that brook area, 2. And then it's down through that area. Field, I would still say in your safe room, lowest level of the building that you are in, certainly interior sections of any large building. Right now, this is also a severe storm that has been capable of producing a tornado around the Cal area. So we still have the tornado warning in effect there until 11:15. And then we go farther south. We're watching in effect this morning includes the Fowler area around the Boswell region too. Look at the radar, and quite frankly, as Larry has been saying, that impressive, But what we're still seeing is just enough available instability and shear for us to get some of that rotation. I did want to check in with you. I wanted to talk to you about this because, as we know, we don't get these types of situations in February very often, and a lot of folks may be under the impression that, we're seeing sirens or there's a drill going on, and it's not a drill. It really is going on that we have had these tornado warnings, and we have this tornado warning that you're watching now in LaPorte County.
It is a little deceiving. Here we are at the end of February, and you don't think severe weather, but we've had a couple of events over the past couple of years where we've had outbreaks of severe weather during typically our colder seasons, December, January, and even February last year too. And this is one of those situations where at a really strong area of low pressure, which is taking over much of the Great Lakes right now, and you get little areas of thunderstorms develop in the warmer sectors where the warm air gets shoved northward. And when you get the winds just right, which we're seeing here today, it can create the spin that we're getting with these little individual thunderstorms. And Tracy was mentioning it too, how these don't look like our typical, say, summertime thunderstorms. They're individual cells, got a hook echo to them, and they're producing hail and lots of lightning. These are more of what we call low top thunderstorms. They don't go terribly far up into the atmosphere, but where they're going up into the sky, which is down the lowest levels of the atmosphere, there's enough spin in the atmosphere to create the rotation we're seeing and prompt the tornado warnings. So here is the warning for Porter now. The northern parts of Jasper County, for at least this particular cell, have been taken out of the warning. You continue the tornado warning for central and north central Jasper County until 11:15. But back to the Porter County first here. This storm, which is an extreme southeastern Porter County, you can see how you are now out of the tornado warning outline zone. There's Couch, the outline box. This spot where the rotation is located, in fact, switch over to velocity data, you'll see it pop on right there. The greens and the reds right next to each other. So the south and east of Couch is where potential tornado is located, lifting off to the north and east, about ready to cross over 8 here, and then lift up towards the Wanata and Dewey area. It looks like this may get close to you folks in Wanata and then cross over 421 as it moves into LaPorte County. So if you're in Wanata, I'd be taking your tornado precautions right now and letting this storm pass by as it moves off to the north and to the east. We're going to go back to Terrell and Tanya. I think you've got some information for us.
Yeah, on the other side of the border, Larry, appreciate it. Will County Emergency Manager Allison Anderson is on the phone with Allison. Tanya and Charlie here. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Just want to get an update on what's going on there. What can you tell us?
It looks like we have a strong storm come through a hour ago, 10 a.m. local time. We are assessing the damage now. It could be a microburst, but it looks like everyone's and some strong damage in some homes.
Tell us a little bit more about the kind of damage you're seeing, Alice. I'm seeing a report out around Plainfield, Illinois, about being thrown around, a large trampoline actually blowing over. What are you seeing out where you are?
Yep, actually, I'm right into that area right now. From some of the photos that we've seen, exactly that. A lot of just moves around in the air.
Anything that you're advising residents to do if they do have damage?
Right now, the best thing to do is work with their insurance provider for any specific damage and really document all of it. If they could take photos of everything, that's going to go a very long way with their insurance claim.
You're not hearing of any injuries associated with this. We've been telling people, obviously, to keep an eye on the roads, be careful, pull over if you have to, if there's a heavy weather system moving over where you are.
That's exactly right. No, we have not heard relating storms.
All righty. Allison Anderson, Will Emergency Management. Allison, please keep us posted on what you see and what you're dealing with out there.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you.
Tracy, Larry, going to send it back on over to you.
All right, I'll take it from here. Good morning, everybody. So just to kind of give you an update and an overview of had going on all morning, we had a lot of lightning much earlier this morning, and some rainfall totals for you that we had this morning. Some of us coming in with over an inch. But the big story at this very second are these three tornado warnings. And we are seeing them get smaller and smaller. But right now, just around the Couts area, we have this tornado warning in effect until 11:50 this morning. So about another 8 minutes, also toward the Wheatfield area. And then this one around Boswell, around Fowler. And this is in effect until 12:45 this morning. Add to that, we do have a wind advisory in effect until noontime today, point south, and we're into northwest Indiana too. Now, we've been looking at velocity. Larry has been really keeping a close eye on this. In fact, I want to get rid of my little pencil drawing here, because there you can see kind of two separate areas that we're really keeping tabs on. And these areas that are under the tornado warning, yes, there seems to be some sort of rotation very light there, maybe even a little bit of a notch. And as we look around the Couts area, we kind of see that. There have also been some potential reports of some hail coming down with storms too, and our radar is trying to pick up on that down through the Walker area, and then, as I said, down Boswell, down toward Fowler. We also have around Rensselaer this line of storms. Everything is basically moving to the north and east. Add to this, the tornado watch is in effect until 3 o'clock this afternoon, and it does include those of you in Newton and Jasper counties, as well as LaPorte County. This was added while you haven't seen any severe storms in LaPorte County, we're saying yet, because the trajectory or the way those storms are traveling, you're kind of in that path for those storms to be heading your direction. We go down to Rensselaer, so you can get there. Looks like we have something trying to develop around the area too. But over in LaPorte, pick up on some of that heavier rain down through Couts, east of DeMott at this very moment. Off to the north, the northern suburbs, you're getting some additional rain. We assure you that we no longer have any tornado warnings. We had a tornado in central DuPage right around that 10 o'clock hour this morning. That was canceled a little bit early, so we don't have anything lingering like that. I want to go back to Larry. Larry, maybe you've had a comb through notes. Anything new we're seeing?
Yeah, so what's really we're watching closely is these tornadoes that are 11:15, the one for Porter County right here, the one for Jasper County right here, also in effect until 11:15. We're waiting to see if they'll be extended. Looking closely at the velocity data, and it's still got a pretty tight center rotation to it. So I would not if this gets extended into LaPorte County, and this tornado warning down in Jasper County gets extended off to the north and to the east as well. You've got a couple of spots here within this broken line of thunderstorm activity where we're seeing the rotation spots kind of tighten up still. And the one that Tracy is right here, just now crossing over Highway 8, just getting close to the county line here of Porter. So right here, we're getting another signature of rotation. There's another farther to the south and west of here as well. And the trend is where you get a tight circulation kind of flare up and prompt the tornado warning. And there are other little spots within that cell that tighten up and can produce brief tornadoes as well. And here's just an example of two different locations within the same tornado warning where we could be potentially a brief tornado develop. So even outside of this tornado box, if you're over here towards Dewey and up towards Wanata, not so much in Couts anymore, but just to the south, east of Couts, there's still the potential of a tornado dropping at any point from this organized cluster of rainy and thunderstorm activity. To go back to the radar, and you look at this, and it's kind of a sloppy storm. Got these little spots that rotate within the storm itself. And those are the zones where you got to be some brief tornado spinning up. Not only is there the concern for a tornado, but this storm is so capable of producing some gusty winds, upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour. So we've got the tornado threat and also the high wind threat with this particular storm. Let me zoom out a little bit. I'm going to put this in motion because we've seen this line move off towards the north at about 30, 40 miles per hour. Itself for Jasper County, another hour. Okay, here's the tornado warning that just LaPorte what have LaPorte County tornado until noontime. For Montana down towards Dewey, you're in this new tornado warning for LaPorte County until noontime.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to mention to you, Larry, that we did get that additional tornado warning in LaPorte County until the noon hour. And I had mentioned to you in my last presentation to you how that LaPorte County was added to the tornado watch, and that was kind of because we were anticipating how these storms would start to move toward LaPorte and possibly that Kingsbury area. So let's put this into motion for you, and you can see also getting also the Fowler that's about 40. That would be Eastern County. Right now, we're going to show you LaPorte, and I'm going to stop this, and then we're going to do a little track here, give you an idea of where this cell is going and how quickly it may get to where you could be. So if you're in Montauk, these are some of the places that are in the path of this tornado warned storm. Watching that, let's get down to the Fowler area right now too. The Weather Service is just reinforcing tornado warning that they did put in place toward Fowler right about here. And that tornado warning is in effect for the Fowler area until 12:45. That would be Eastern time there, so 11:45 Central time. Those of you paying attention in Central time zone. But these are all tornado warnings. Let's go back to our tornado warning map. You can get the idea of the tornado warnings in place, shaving off kind of the western side of that one in Benton County. But this new tornado warning that is now in effect until 12:15 in LaPorte County, Indiana, that is because we have been watching these storms coming out of the Couts area this morning and noticing the path that they have been taken. So here, let's broaden the radar here, an idea of the direction this is taking, and we'll put it in motion. Right down here with the Fowler area and traveling, just kind of cutting toward the area, road lawn into Couts, and now to LaPorte County, which is we are seeing some of those storms taking aim there. Also, watch, we still have some gusts on the north side too, but our focus right now is tornado warnings that are in effect over in portions of northwest Indiana. Let's go back to Larry, see if there's anything new that he has observed. And Larry, these systems have been really weak. The tornado sightings we're hearing about, and in fact, just want to make mention, in Porter County, in Jasper County, those two tornado warnings, they have now expired. We just have the one in eastern Benton County and also the one that is up there in LaPorte County at this too. But Larry, getting back to what I was saying, the signatures that we have noticed on radar, they've been fairly weak. So we're not seeing, large scale tornadoes, but even still, this is kind of an unusual thing for reporting in the month of February, and it's certainly not a drill. We have been getting spotters and observers have been seeing these things taking place.
Aren't the large tornadoes that can really be quite destructive? These are weaker in tornadoes, but tornado, because it can do damage to your property, including trees and roofs and houses, if you get hit by these little fast-moving tornadoes. And I think a good example of this, Tracy, was we had from down in Champaign, that kind of rope-like tornado we had the video of earlier this morning. Those are kind of the tornadoes that are possible with this situation, not the big, large tornadoes that we sometimes see in the springtime. These are more of these fast little spin-up tornadoes that can certainly do some damage. They may not last terribly long, though. That's, I guess, is not a lot of positives when you have storms like this, is that the doesn't warrant tornadoes like we get in the springtime. But nonetheless, the outline box for the tornado warning for LaPorte County until noontime. And the circulation right now is close to Dewey. There is still circulation back here just near as well that we're keeping an eye on. No warning with that particular portion of the storm, but the warning where we got the tornado warning is to the velocity point that is located here, because right here's the one center rotation that's now crossing the county line. There's another one generally in this area near Wanata as well. It does not look as tight as it was, say, about 10 minutes ago when we were looking at the velocity data, where the greens and the reds were really clearly indicated on the radar. Good sign. We'll take it for what it is. Nonetheless, there is still rotation going on in this zone here near Wanata, and also back towards the Dewey area. So if you're in Wanata, Kingsford, southern part of the city of LaPorte right now, and eventually over towards US 30 right here, this is the zone here where you want to be taking your tornado precautions and just letting the storm pass on by, because it does have the potential of producing a brief tornado. The other spot where we have the tornado warning is farther to the south, down in Benton County. We'll just take a peek here at Jasper County, and I'll show you the outline box there for Benton County. That's the other spot where we've got the tornado warning. We've got a disorganized area of rain from near Rensselaer up toward Field right now. Keeping our eyes on these little flanks here where you get the open edge to these showers and storms, just to see if there's any circulation here. And we'll take a peek here at the velocity data. Nothing really stands out like we have up here into parts of LaPorte County, but if you're in Jasper County, still be on guard here for the potential for maybe another rotation center to pop up, go through the next hour or so. The tornado watch, which Tracy was mentioning, continues until 3 o'clock here for the area shaded in red, Newton, Jasper, LaPorte County, over towards Stark County as well. This will end before 3 p.m. because once this line of storms moves on out, activity will really start to diminish our area towards the east and northeast. To kind of line of activity. Back to the west, you've got some rain to come, some rain up in the north. None of this activity is severe, but winds with this rain, Illinois side of so we're going to have some strong gusty winds and rain showers. Potential is early over in northwest point where we continue a slight risk of severe weather, according to the National Weather Service. You can see from Chicago back to the north, the threat of severe weather, it's pretty much over. We're going to get some gusty winds here from Chicago back to the west, but we'll continue to watch those storms in northwest Indiana for potential spinning rotation centers, which can prompt more tornado warnings. Terrell? All
righty, Larry. If you're just tuning in, you're just with us now, I want to get you an update on where we are right now, what's been going on this morning. So it's breaking weather news that we're seeing severe weather move to the west and northwest suburbs. You can hear the tornado sirens going off in DuPage County. In northwest Indiana, the tornado warning for LaPorte County, that's in effect noon.
Farther south in Champaign, look at this tornado spotted in a cornfield. Not clear whether it caused any damage, and you could also see students at the University of Illinois sheltering in a way. This morning we have had heavy rain, we've had severe storms. You can see some flooding in Park. We've also have a wind advisory in effect.
Anything for February day in Chicago, and I think I've seen a lot of people mention on social media that we're experiencing these tornado warnings, even these thunderstorms in February.
And that's how it began this morning. Even when we were driving in 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, you could see those lightning flashes in the sky. You think to yourself, well, wait a minute, we're in the end of February right now. Highly unusual. We're seeing that reflected as well on social media. People in these areas affected by these tornado watches and warnings. Tracy, as we were saying before, they're concerned, like, is this a drill? No, not a drill.
And look at the 4 different images you are seeing here, and notice over Chicago with blue sky. Yeah, we're seeing sun in Chicago. Meanwhile, we are still dealing with severe weather over in North Indiana. There are northward into the area. And some of you almost felt a little bit humid, and yeah, that's to all of this talking about through the morning. Then, of course, we have had heavy rain, and at O'Hare, within about an hour's time, we picked up about an additional 1/3 of an inch of rain. So we're at a 1 inch total at O'Hare. Midway coming in at 8/10, Wheeling 9/10, Waukegan Valley is over an inch of rain, an inch and a third, and it's all falling since 3 o'clock this morning. out in Aurora, we wrap it up and say nearly an inch of rain there. But as we do, we have 2 tornado warnings that are currently in effect. One that includes around the Fowler area, and based on some of the information I've been, we may hear about some damage around the Fowler area from that tornado warning that is in effect until 12:45 today. That's Eastern time. Point that out. And then we have a tornado warning in effect until 12 noon right here in LaPorte County. So the one here in Benton County, technically that's in effect until 11:45 Central Time, but in Central Time here, this is in effect in LaPorte County until noon time. So we have another 38 minutes worth of tornado warning to go in LaPorte County. Till noon, a wind advisory in effect for our counties in the southern suburbs and northwest Indiana. However, I will mention to you that here in Chicago, in the city, very likely we could end up getting some intense wind gusts up to around 45 miles per hour. Here's a look at the radar, and this is what we're noticing around that Dewey area, and you're under a tornado warning there at this moment, right up toward Hanna and LaPorte. That's where we're getting some of the heavier rain, stronger thunderstorms. No longer do we have any tornado warnings, however, in Porter or Jasper counties at this time. Larry, going to check in with you and what you're following now.
Yeah, Tracy, we just got some new video in right now from the Enfield area as well that just came into the office here, the Weather Center, and this is some video that we have from Plainfield we're going to show you in a second, but as the outline of the tornado warning, see some trees snap, some fence damage as well in parts of the Plainfield area. This is from those gusty thunderstorms that came through earlier this morning across the southwest suburbs. Tornado warning that was to DuPage County. We don't know if this damage in Joliet was caused by a tornado. It could have been just strong gusts. We've gotten several damaged and some fences damaged across the west and southwestern suburbs from the storms that came through earlier this morning. And now, of course, we're seeing the potential for isolated tornadoes to develop here across parts of northwest Indiana, with the latest tornado warning in effect until noontime for LaPorte County. I've been watching the velocity data here pretty closely, and I'll start first with the typical radar view, because when you look at this view, you can kind of see there are a couple of suspicious areas. One right here on this kind of south flank of the storm is a spot to always watch. And then whenever you see notches in a storm like this, another spot where something looks really suspicious by just looking at the radar. So what we do in this type of situation is we go to the velocity data to see what's going on within the storm itself in terms of, are we getting any rotation to be visible with the radar? And at the point on the velocity data, and if you've been with us throughout the past hour, you've been watching us show the greens real close to each other within the storm. You don't really have that at this point with this particular storm in LaPorte County. That's a really good sign that it looks like the rotation is slightly weakening a little bit with this storm. Can't completely rule out that there may still be a brief tornado wrapped in this storm. The signatures we're getting on the radar suggest it's not as tight as it was a few moments ago. In fact, put this in motion. This is a 30-minute time lapse. Right, green and red right now, back near the Couts area. Those have gone away with this particular storm moving into LaPorte County. So encouraging sign that the storm's rotation is weakening a little bit. It could spin back up because of the atmosphere and a lot of spin in the atmosphere. But the latest I'm getting on the radar, the rotation with this storm in LaPorte County has shown some signs of weakening. So we hope it continues to be the case. I wouldn't get out of your safe room here if you're in Hanna and then over to the southern parts of LaPorte right now. I would stay in that safe room with you and your family and your kids and just ride this storm out. You don't want to take any chances because it still could produce a brief tornado at any point. And then the storms back here into Jasper County and one storm back down into Benton County as well. Still have the tornado warning here for this storm in county, but no tornado warnings in Jasper County. You still have pretty hefty rain showers coming through Rensselaer, down I-65 as well. These are continuing to spread towards the east. The other zone we were watching was this one little back that was moving across Lake County here, right there. As it moved over, this has weakened a little bit. We're still getting a little activity in Valparaiso. So this storm not severe or not showing signs of rotation. but it's one that could produce some gusty winds as it moves from Valparaiso up towards Chesterton and then eventually up towards Michigan City. But at this point, the one storm, at least in our viewing area, that's still capable of producing a tornado, this one here in central LaPorte County, the rotation center itself, some signs of weakness. But this is a storm. Got heavy snow across Michigan, up to UP into parts of northern Wisconsin. If you look on the sort of the sphere combined, this is one of the low pressure is strengthening as it's moving. Those are oftentimes those dangerous storms, not in the time, but also in the winter time, because they have a lot of wind energy as they're strengthening. So the area of low pressure is deeper, it's getting a stronger area of low pressure, and it can enhance the wind field out ahead of that system. That's what we've been seeing in this. We've got the tornado watch outlined for much of Indiana and counties downstate here in Illinois. These types of storm systems, and Tracy, we've been tracking for years and years and years. You get these areas of low pressure to spin up this time of year, they can really strengthen quite intense and quite quickly because of the contrast temperatures from north to south. And we've seen this surge of very warm temperatures into our area with readings generally in the mid to upper 50s. Look at O'Hare, up to 55 degrees. And so that battle zone between the colder air to the north and some really unusual warm air to the south sets these systems up to really rapidly intensify. So not only do you get the storms and heavy rain, you also get some gusty winds. And right now winds are gusting above 30 miles per hour. So Tracy, somewhat good news on the tornado warned storm for LaPorte County and the fact that the rotation is not quite as tight as it was a few moments ago, but it's still a storm that we're watching as it lifts off to the north and to the east.
Absolutely. And of course, we're watching that one in eastern Benton County. That tornado warning itself continues to pay off. But still, when we look at velocity, and you've been talking about that, Larry, we're still noticing how when you get these together, these greens and reds, we're noticing maybe that there is still some rotation in all of that. You talked about the wind gusts, which I wanted to point out to you yet again, because those, even though here on the Illinois side, we no longer have any tornado warnings that are in effect for the area, coming in behind a lot of that activity, we've noticed some strengthening wind gusts, and we could still get some wind gusts surpassing 40, 45 miles per hour really over the next half hour or so, as that main hub of the storm just continues to glide right across the Chicago area. So we still do have a wind advisory in effect for our southern counties until noontime today. All morning long, I've kind of been mesmerized by the difference in the temperatures. Just within this past hour at O'Hare, we went from 48 degrees to 55 degrees. And now it's near 60 degrees around parts of the area, with 58s in Joliet and Peatone and 55 degrees, that temperature over in Valparaiso, where the good news on that storm around Valparaiso, we're to shelter in place. That storm has weakened over in that area. And in fact, let's go back and take a look at some of the rainfall totals. We've had over an inch of rain in some spots this morning. The tornado warning, the tornado warning in LaPorte, and we have this one little sliver that is now east of Fowler, and it is in effect for basically another 15 minutes over there. And then we still have in LaPorte County a tornado warning that's in effect for about the next hour. Just checking, yes, they are continuing. The Weather Service just sent us an 8. They are continuing those two tornado warnings along with a wind advisory in effect across some of those southern counties and in northwest Indiana. Let's take a look in Dewey up toward Hannah and then in toward the LaPorte. Let's see what's going on there, because this thunderstorm has been moving to the north and northeast basically at a pretty so you can see there right around LaPorte. If you're not getting rain at this moment, it is about to rather for you. And let's go lightning detection too. How much lightning there is with all of this. We had walls of lightning very early this morning, and now quite light show over in northern Indiana, and it's almost the same corridor from eastern Benton County right up through Jasper County, though you're no longer under any warnings there, but up into LaPorte County, where there is just a ton of lightning with these storms that is continuing. So as Larry's been talking, especially if you're in a tornado warning, you want to be in the lowest level of room that you are, or the structure that you are in. And yes, rather unusual this event in late February, but it feels like spring out there with the temperature that are around 60 degrees. It appears that the tornado warning in LaPorte County has been canceled early. So that is some good news. Despite all this lightning, despite the heavy rain, no more is there indication. Let me look at the Weather Service. No more does it appear to be indication that the tornado signature on radar. No spotters reporting anything at this moment. The only tornado we have left yet is an there in northern Indiana. But what we're going to end up happening here through the rest of this afternoon, some glimmer sun here in Chicago, some windy conditions that are going to continue to be with us as well. The tornado watch most likely is still in effect until 3 o'clock this afternoon. In fact, I just want to check that, make sure they haven't made any changes to that.
Tracy, they just canceled the tornado warning in Benton County too.
And they just canceled the tornado warning in Benton County. Perhaps you heard. Let's relay that. So no more tornado warnings in effect in North Indiana, though we still have the tornado warning. We'll let you know if they decide to maybe back down a little sooner than expected. As of right now, this is in effect until 3 o'clock this afternoon. But I think when they added LaPorte County, it was kind of to do a preemptive strike in advance of that tornado warning that was going to be issued there. So as of right now, we have a tornado watch in effect until 3 o'clock this afternoon, includes Newton, Jasper, Benton, as well as up into LaPorte, Stark counties in Indiana. And we have a wind advisory in effect for our southern cities as well. Let's go back to the radar and check out that I was mentioning. So, yeah, we have been seeing some signs of weakening. Again, no certainty that it's being reported into those storms at this time. It's possible that some of these produce a little bit of hail around the area, too. Yeah, cancel the tornado warning, so all good on that front. Want to check with Larry again?
Tracy, we were watching velocity data a few moments ago with the storms that were coming across northwest Indiana, and I was pointing out how that velocity data was weakening, moving into LaPorte County. That tornado warning was dropped here for me because the circulation had kind of dissipated almost like a few moments ago back in part. That we have the east, but to the west. So the city right now, as mentioned, sunshine is temperatures zoom back across part of the rain. So it's more to be wind and occasional hours. Severe weather concern is shifting to the east hours. Keep an eye on it. Terrell.
Changing weather, so do stick to Eyewitness News. You can also get updates on that or wherever you stream.